I'm John Leonard. I'm a corporate lawyer in Denver, Colorado with the law firm of Fairfield and Woods. We have posted a series of short informational videos on various aspects of the law and how it affects your personal life, and a lot more on business, but there's tapes on litigation and receiverships, but most of it on your business and your personal life. And today we're going to talk about real estate with Gennaro DeSantis. And most of your practice is commercial real estate, is that right?
It is.
And so I know that there's different types of commercial real estate. Let's just talk about a generic contract. And when a client comes in and wants to buy real estate, and let's not talk about specific types, just what's the process? If I'm a new client, I call you, I've identified some property, work me through the process of how you would work with me and advise me on purchasing some commercial real estate.
Sure. And sometimes it comes from, the client's worked with a broker and they've gone out and they've identified a property they want to buy. Sometimes they don't involve brokers, and they'll come to us and they'll say, hey, we want to buy this piece of property, whether office buildings, apartments, doesn't really matter. It's so we'll start with, depending on where they are, they may have come with some terms that they want to make sure, they're always going to start off. They want to know the purchase. They're going to know the purchase price. They're going to want to know what they're going to be doing with it. So we'll sit down and go through kind of, we may not do a term sheet, but we'll identify those key items, what they're going to pay for it, what the property is, what they're going to do with the property, how long it's going to take them to buy it, to do their due diligence, and in almost all cases, where's their
right? And so you said something very interesting. Before you have a contract, there's usually a letter of intent or a term sheet. You can use those terms interchangeably, I guess, but that's going to set the basis to see whether there could be a contract. And then you mentioned some specific things that go into a letter of intent or term sheet, but then you used the word due diligence. What is due diligence?
So the due diligence is the part where the client and us as lawyers are figuring out if the property makes sense for them to buy, or if there's, in our part of it is, are there any legal potholes that they need to be aware of, or that we can help them work through. And so there's that process of due diligence spans the business side and the economic viability of the property through what's the title look like, are there any legal issues, are there leases? So each type of property has different due diligence.
Well, let's spend a little bit with the title side first, and then with the next tape, let's talk about some of the business due diligence you would. So if you're looking at the title on real property, what do you order, or what kind of information do you get from maybe a title company or others? And what are you looking for, and why do you do that?
Okay. Yeah. So usually after you have a contract in place, we'll take that contract and we'll send it over to one of the title companies. They will then, within usually about a week, they'll issue us a title report that says, okay, this is the property. This is who currently owns it. This is the proper legal description. This is, these are the things we need in order to close this transaction on our end to make sure that, that there's authority on the seller's behalf to sell the property. And then there's a list of what we call the B2 exceptions, which are all the easements, districts, covenants, anything that's been recorded on that property that impacts the ownership or the use or the operation of that property.
All right, so you said something interesting. You would do that work after contract. I'm gonna back up the car a little bit and talk about the contract a little bit. Would you order any kind of a report normally before you're under contract?
It depends on the client, it depends on the situation, but there are many times that we do have a title report even before we start.
Just to see whether the property might work. Let's still talk about the contract then. When in a commercial, I've seen residential agreements, not commercial, but there's all sorts of timing and other things where people get to look at things and object and whatnot. Is that the same with a commercial real estate agreement?
It is, and sometimes with the commercial real estate, it's even more pronounced because you'll start off with the initial due diligence period. And that may be 30, it may be 60 days. Sometimes it goes beyond that. And with residential, they're going to be a little bit shorter, but that's the time period that you're also simultaneous with looking at the business side. You're also looking at that you'll have received the title report for sure by that point in time. You may have received a survey of the property. You will have received especially in a commercial property, you'll have received all the reports that the seller has. They may have an environmental report. They may have a zoning report. But if they don't, during that initial 30 to 60 day inspection period, you're going to order those reports. You're going to order a survey usually. And again, depends on whether the buyer or the seller is paying for that and ordering it. Sometimes the seller may have one in existence and you're just updating it. You're going to do an environmental report so that you know if there's any environmental issues with that property. You're probably going to order a zoning report or a zoning verification letter from the municipality that says, hey, yes, this is zoned XYZ and you can do the following with it. That sometimes that report may also identify non-conforming uses on the property that the zoning department's aware of. So you're ordering those, and then you're also going to do a physical inspection, and which is very common in residential, but as common as well in commercial. Because we will check the the physical inspection. You're going to go through and look at the property, especially if it's an existing building. If you're going to be building something, you're going to do soil reports. You're going to be doing, along with the environmental, just you're inspecting the property physically.
That's great. We're going to do another tape on other due diligence aspects of purchasing commercial real estate and move into specific types of commercial real estate. Thanks for joining us today. And please watch all the videos with Gennaro here.